Hello, this video is a guide on how to level a Marauder character using a two-hand axe with a melee skill. Marauder is a strong pick that has always been popular among attack-based builds. This guide will cover all the basics for leveling with a Marauder that uses a two-handed weapon attack. It's the most popular weapon type due to its damage and no need for a shield, at least not that early into the game. We heavily recommend using a two-handed axe as there are a lot of passives that would improve this particular type of weapon nearby, and because of its damage. The type of damage you will deal is purely physical or converted fire. That depends mostly on your ascendancy and your endgame build. Berserker is an extremely powerful class that enhances rage, warcry, and overall attack damage mechanics, which results in a lot of damage. Chieftain is an equally good class for when you want to play a physical to fire conversion attack build that would work with spells as well as attacks. Juggernaut is a tank that mitigates physical damage and has quite good life regeneration. It also synergizes very well with endurance charges. All of these ascendancies are similar at the beginning. As your first ascendancy keystone you will pick an attack or physical damage oriented one. The weapon will be very important. Use vendor recipes for increased physical damage, or buy some of the unique axes we will recommend later. Due to being melee, you're required to stay close to the enemies to kill them, which slows you down. Don't bother killing all the enemies on your way. Your defenses are armor, maximum life, life leech, and endurance charges in some cases. This technique can carry you to red maps, but in the first acts, only maximum life and elemental resistances will be important. You should have no trouble with leveling using this method. Bone Shatter is a short-range strike attack that is very similar to the default attack. It's no good in its base form, so to upgrade it you will need to link Ancestral Call support to it and allocate Tribal Fury with the Mastery to target enemies further away. Bone Shatter scales great with attack speed, as with each hit it grants a trauma stack that makes you deal more and more damage, but damages your character as well. It's a great choice for a Berserker or Juggernaut, but as a Berserker, you will be more vulnerable to self-inflicted damage, so be sure that you can leech life. In Act 1, link it with Onslaught if you can't get this buff any other way, Maim to deal more physical damage. Ancestral Call support allows you to target extra enemies. You might abandon it later after allocating Tribal Fury and its attack mastery. Ruthless support is one of the most powerful support gems that you will use indefinitely. If you struggle with mana sustain, which you probably will when using Tabula Rasa, use Life Tap. It also grants more damage, but not much. Added fire damage support is the best choice for chieftains. It takes a portion of physical damage and adds it as extra fire, which is good at the very beginning. In Act 2 start using melee physical damage, close combat, and faster attacks. If you're a Berserker with Crave the Slaughter and increased maximum rage, pick Rage support. Elemental damage with attack support is only good if you're a chieftain that converts damage to fire. In Act 3, start using Impale support for a 100% chance to impale. It's good only with physical damage. Fortify support grants more damage and fortifies you. Brutality from Act 4 is the best gem for physical attacks. It disables any other type of damage. Earthquake is another option. A slam attack that deals physical damage around your character. It has a few phases, but if you want to deliver damage instantly, you're free to use other slam-type attacks like Ground Slam or Sunder. These are very simple and perfectly suited to be used alongside Warcries to exert attacks and make them more powerful. Here you can use mostly the same support gems as with Strike, but be mindful not to use Ancestral Call, and also Impale, which is less useful with these slow attacks. Ruthless, added fire damage, Maim, Life Tap, and Onslaught or Chance to Bleed support gems would be great to have in Act 1. In Act 2, use melee physical damage. Act 3 offers Pulverize and Fortify. Less duration support is only good with Earthquake. Act 4 is where you can acquire Brutality support for only physical damage builds, or Fist of War support. It's one of the best support gems for low attack speed slams. You will use two totems, Ancestral Protector for more attack speed, and Ancestral Warchief for more melee damage. The default totem limit is 1, so to have both of these totems up at the same time link them with multiple totem support. If you're a physical damage dealer use Maim support too so that the maimed enemies will receive more physical damage. If you deal fire damage, replace it with combustion support to penetrate the fire resistance of your enemies. For mana reserving skills, definitely use Herald of Purity for more physical damage. It can be later converted to fire. War Banner is great with overall physical damage, but Dread Banner could improve your chance to impale and its effect. If you're a character that deals converted fire damage, pick Herald of Ash instead. Anger is too expensive, use much cheaper blood and sand or flesh and stone. To make the enemies near you take increased physical damage, use Pride. Other skills that can improve your performance are Blood Rage for life leech and attack speed, and Leap Slam for mobility. For a guard spell, you can use Molten Shell or Steelskin. The vulnerability would be the best curse for physical damage dealers, but flammability is good for when you deal fire damage. If you can generate rage, start using the Berserk skill. Determination is very popular, and you should definitely start using it around Acts 6 to 10. It grants more armor to mitigate incoming physical damage. Dread Banner reduces the accuracy of nearby enemies, grants an additional 20% chance to impale, and increases the effect of impale. Enduring Cry. Use it to quickly regenerate life and gain endurance charges. If you're using a strike skill, such as Bone Shatter, we recommend picking Ancestral Cry instead, to enhance your next strikes. If you're dealing fire damage, consider using Infernal Cry. Use only one War Cry, with Call to Arms Keystone. These have shared cooldown. Physical attack damage is always your top priority, so be sure that you have a good weapon. We recommend checking for a new one each time you enter a new act. Use essences, vendor recipes, or just buy a unique one. There are quite a few other unique items that can make the leveling process much easier. Tabula Rasa is the best leveling body armor. It has 6 white linked sockets, and can be worn at level 1. Goldrum Helmet is used mostly for its elemental resistances, up to 120% in total. Early on you can use Thrill Steel for permanent onslaught buff, but it quickly becomes obsolete. La Hup of All is another item with a lot of resistances. It also grants damage and attributes. You can equip Blackheart at level 1, it adds tons of chaos damage to your attacks, but don't combine it with Brutality support gem. Death Rush is used for chaos resistance, life on kill, and a powerful adrenaline buff which is great for melee characters. Astramentus adds tons of attributes, which probably won't be needed, but it's good to keep it in mind. Carnage Heart is an overall great amulet with a lot of attributes, resistances, life leech, and damage. The Ignimon is good early on as it adds fire damage to attacks and fire resistance. Due to the blind and evasion, you're also less likely to be hit. You can wear String of Servitude at level 1, and with the right implicit for extra elemental resistances, it is very good. At level 8 you can start wearing Meganerd's Girdle Belt for added damage, more maximum life, strength, and cold resistance. At level 41 we recommend switching to Worm's Molt Belt if you need life and mana leech on top of cold resistance and attributes. Available at level 1, Loctonial Caress could be useful due to the charges gained on kill. 7 League Step are the fastest boots in the game, but besides movement speed, these have nothing else to offer. Decent movement speed combined with freeze immunity makes Wanderlust an appealing option. At level 18 we recommend Wideswing Axe for more damage, mana on kill, and increased area of effect for socketed gems. Later, at level 33 you can upgrade your weapon. Reaper's Pursuit makes the Resolute technique obsolete as hits can't be evaded. The Blood Reaper is a level 45 weapon with a lot of maximum life, life leech, and damage. We recommend using life tap support gems with it as your skills will be expensive. At level 58 you can wield Kaom's Primacy Axe. It has high base damage, life on kill, generates some rage, and is very good for physical to fire conversion attacks and rage. proper flask setup makes leveling much quicker and easier. Quicksilver flask is the most important one, it increases your movement speed. Silver flask increases your damage and mobility. Granite flask is especially useful once you step into Act 5, as there is a very noticeable spike in physical damage dealt by the enemies. Lion's Roar Granite Flask can be used as soon as level 27 and is suitable for most of the endgame builds, but only if you're dealing physical damage. 20% quality on each flask is an easy way to prolong their duration. You can also use just 1 or 2 flasks and the Trader Keystone to have them active constantly. Here, we showcase the best passives that a two-hand axe-wielding Marauder can get. S-tier passives are great in most cases, and I-tier ones are more specific. These might suit only a specific type of build, restricted to physical, strike, or fire attacks. B is a tier with less useful passives that are to be picked later, or not at all. If you're using endurance charges, go for the nodes for extra maximum endurance charges. We allocated Resolute Technique. You won't land a lot of critical strikes, not during leveling phase. Warrior's Blood will be most likely the first notable to allocate, it grants a lot of good minor improvements. Juggernaut is used for armor and maximum life, it also unlocks the armor mastery. The top notable in the big axe cluster, Cleaving, improves axe damage and intimidates enemies so that they take more damage. Slaughter, which is in the same cluster as Cleaving, is similar. It increases axe damage, attack speed, and maximum rage. Champion of the Cause becomes mandatory in Act 2 or 3. With this notable you can fit more auras in the build. Call to Arms is a keystone that makes warcries instant, it increases your mobility. It's good if you're using only one warcry. Hatchet Master is slightly off the main route, but it's one of the most powerful axe notables, and there is not a lot of them. Master of the Arena is one of the 3 powerful notables right outside Duelist's starting location. It grants damage, strike range, life regeneration, and strength. In the next tier, there are still a lot of good passives, but not for all types of damage. Lava Lash and Magmatic Strikes are excellent for fire damage. There also is the Avatar of Fire Keystone which you can pick too. Steadfast unlocks the Fortify Mastery. Tribal Fury is only good with strike skills. Bastion Breaker and Harvester of Foes are very good with physical damage. Berserking is fine if you can generate rage easily. Now for the B-tier passives. Deep Breaths is great when using Warcries. Warrior Training should be picked when using strike skills. Diamond Skin, Prismatic Skin, and Soul of Steel are defensive notables for more resistances. Fury Bolt's notable is to be picked only with some kind of projectile attack from Molten Strike. Pick the 2 life masteries that would increase your maximum life. The extra flat 50 maximum life is better to be allocated at the start, and as your second life mastery, get a 10% increased maximum life. The best axe mastery is, attacks with axes or swords grant 1 rage on hit, no more than once every second. Rage increases attack speed, damage, and movement speed. If you don't like the undeath effects, pick, enemies killed by your hits are destroyed, axe mastery. It's good against porcupines in Act 8. If you're using a strike attack, like Bone Shatter, try to allocate 2 attack masteries. Strike skills target 1 additional nearby enemy, and 40% increased melee damage with hits at close range. Determination has 25% increased mana reservation efficiency, lowers the reservation cost of Determination, which you will use at some point. It's an armor mastery. The Two-Hand Mastery, 40% increased damage with hits against rare and unique enemies, is a simple damage increase during boss fights. Allocate the Fortify Mastery, melee hits fortify. -3 to maximum fortification, so that you won't have to use the Fortify support gem. While fortified you take less hit damage. And that's all. Good luck.